going into this tournament. And then on the other side of things, you have Ian with another Arceus deck, kind of a little bit more of a traditional variant, just barely, but with some spice in it.
Yeah, Ian's been playing this deck a lot, and he keeps adding extra twists to make sure he keeps up with the meta. Let's go ahead and take a look down at the table and see what our competitors have lined up for us. Of course, both shuffling up just now, getting prepared, but you know that their hearts are pounding.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Isaiah on our left. Just, again, one of the most accomplished players of the recent era, with coming off of the 2022 EUIC Top 8. Of course, very recently we got that Atlantic City Regional Top 4. 2019 in the senior division was an NAIC champion, which is obviously a gigantic accomplishment. And then, of course, just the year before had just gotten second place and decided, that's not quite good enough.
Yeah, we got to work harder than that. And, of course, he will put the time and effort in.
There's
and he's doing it with the B drill. That is his deck of choice. Of course, him and the gang all working hard on that deck list all throughout the night, trying to make sure that was ready, and I think it was ready.
It seems like it. And on the other side, of course, we have our other finalist here, Ian Robb. No stranger to this stage, no stranger to taking home trophies from Pokemon tournaments. 2022 SLC Regional Top 8, again, the other North American regionals we've had. Going back to 2020, kind of rewinding the season a bit, a Top 8 at the Oceania International Championship, and then, of course, there is the Portland Regional Championship just the year before, and yet another Regional Top 8. So many accomplishments, I can barely say them before we do reveal that Arceus Metacham.
Yeah, Metacham is, of course, going to sneak its way onto the screen, because it's a really amazing card when it does find the right spot, and Ian does love finding that, so maybe we'll see it sneak onto the finals. Who knows?
Absolutely. So it seems like both of these players are playing Arceus variants. The Metacham is not exactly the main attacker in Ian's deck, just, or anything like that. But they've kind of both chosen to take a little bit of a different twist on the Arceus variant. Talk to us a little bit about why Isaiah has brought the B-Drill to this event.
Yeah, it's a big meta call, because you're looking at all of the decks that are getting played, and of course the big thing surrounding that is special energy cards. When you see your opponents playing all these special energy cards, you either want to remove those or take advantage of them. He chose to knock them all out.
Absolutely. And on the other side, we see the prizes there. Nothing too. There was 2 Arceus V-Star in Isaiah's prizes.
That's not the best for Isaiah, but Ian looks like he's going to do just fine.
And then on the other side, again, we do have the deck, the Arceus variant that Ian Robb's been working on. Can you talk to us a little bit about kind of how that Metacham comes into play and where?
Yeah, so once again, Ian just continually finds ways to deal damage by way of quick shooting and Galarian Zigzagoon, but he has a hard time getting rid of those Pokemon that have low hit points, but he wants to continue to take prize cards. So he found this option with the Metacham where he can maybe set up some knockouts, sneak a nice attack in there, and then make sure to get a secondary attack right off the bat there.
Yeah, and Metacham V, not a card you see every day. Seems a lot of play, but just one of those strange and interesting cards. And we're about to kick things off here. It looks like Ian is going to be going first, opening Arceus V here. We just see the attach, the Sobble on the bench, and a pass of the turn.
Attach and pass is not the greatest, but it's exactly what you need in this matchup. You just need to get that energy down on the opener, make sure that your Arceus is ready to go. And at this point, he's just going to be waiting to see what Isaiah has on the other side. Ian doesn't need too much.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things I think about kind of these Arceus variants is that Arceus kind of just does it all. It has good damage output, it accelerates you when it attacks, but it also has that Starbirth V-Star power ability that I think it's just a great way to have, this very powerful ability tacked onto a Pokemon you basically always want in play anyway. And looks like we have a boss's orders from Isaiah bringing up that Sobble, kind of having the Sobble fight in the active spot here, and then he's going to go ahead and use Keep Calling.
Yeah, boss's orders here, it's decent because it makes Ian potentially need one more out in order to make the combo happen of getting that Arceus V-Star and then getting a relevant attack off, taking a knockout, and it's a decent way to slow him down. Although Isaiah is going to get this Keep Calling, he didn't get the energy attachment onto the Arceus V, so I think this is telling of what his hand looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do the Keep Calling here from Isaiah. He's going to go ahead and take a look at his deck, just make sure he knows exactly what his prize, knows exactly, how the next few turns are going to play out based on his hand, based on what's available in his deck. We've actually seen throughout this tournament a lot of really good prize mapping plays. A lot of plays where players have done something a little bit non-standard because they think they're going to draw They're, 2 of their last 4 remaining prizes. It's going to have this card in it. Just something, kind of a higher level strategy that you don't always see.
Yeah, if you're watching Isaiah as he looks through his deck there, he's literally has the deck tilted sideways. His body is moving sideways, and he just does everything he can to absorb as much information as possible. And sure enough, it's very beneficial. And then when he takes prize cards, he makes sure that they count.
Absolutely. So we pass things back to Ian now. Kind of seeing the first step of the whole reason you play this kind of Intelli Online is that Drizzile with the Shady Dealings ability comes into play. You can grab a trainer card out of your deck. We're going to see a very similar kind of strategy here from Ian, looking through his deck to see, at this point, he knows what card he wants to get off the Shady Dealings, I believe. Just kind of going to go ahead and see what's prized, look at his hand, kind of compare, just kind of map out these next few turns. Looks like he is going to take the Marnie.
Interesting, yeah, the Marnie, so thinking maybe because of the Sobble and getting down the multiple other Sobble on the bench, thinking maybe there's some Drizziles available and just trying to avoid a big combo turn here.
Absolutely, and there is the Evolution Incense for that Arceus V-Star. Kind of, I guess at this point, with 2 Arceus decks in the finals, it is really the star of this tournament, and really arguably the star of the format.
It is, and it's so impressive. There's so many different ways to play this card. And we're going to see a beautiful rendition of both of these players and their use of this Arceus card.
And so here is the Marnie that Ian found off of the Shady Dealings. This is kind of the premium disruption supporter in the format right now. Kind of harkening back to things like N. Not quite as powerful, not quite as devastating in the right spots, but a little bit more kind of fair on both ends.
Always feels a little ridiculous shuffling your hand to throw it on the bottom of your deck.
On the bottom, yeah.
But you know what? It's you got to do what you got to do.
Now we are going to see that V-Star power Starbirth get activated. We were just talking about how powerful of an ability this is to be tacked on to kind of a card that you just always want anyways, a totally reasonable card. Searching his deck for any 2 cards, looks like it's going to be Scoop Up Net was one of the options, and that's kind of what you were talking about. The boss's orders forced Ian to have another piece there.
Right, and having to use the Scoop Up Net, of course, it's a great target with the Drizzile, making sure to get full effect of that. Got an additional card with the Shady Dealings, and now it's going to have access to that on the following turn, even continuing further with this second Sobble now.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think, really telling of kind of how Isaiah thinks about things. Is I think this boss's orders is worth you having to find another piece. You probably will. It's not, your deck is going to set up to do that, but I want to trade resources in that manner. You're absolutely right. We do see that Trinity Nova knockout on the Sobble. Going to put those 2 Darkness Energy on the benched Arceus V, and now the action is on Isaiah Bradner.
Yeah, Isaiah, of course, is now he's dealing with a brand new hand. He doesn't know what he's working with here until he ends up taking a peek. But he's got 5 cards now, and he would love to, of course, turn this into an amazing single strike mustard play with a Beedrill. Find a way to get this Sobble out of the active spot and take a huge knockout on this Arceus V-Star. That's going to take a lot of resources, but of course, when you have Arceus V-Star, you have that Starbirth ability. You can make things happen.
Yeah, when I interviewed Isaiah after his top 8 win, he did say, as long as you've got Starbirth, it's pretty easy to do. So we'll see if that confidence carries over. And we've seen throughout the whole weekend of streaming this Beedrill deck, we have seen this exact thing happen of, okay, I'm getting this Arceus V off of this Evolution Sense, or Arceus V-Star rather. Now, I'm going to look at my hand. Okay, how do I think back? What do I need to get with the Starbirth? Can I get cards to get me Drizzile with the Starbirth? It's very, very reminiscent of the old watching players do the old Archie's Blastoise tricks.
Yes.
That's okay. I have Ultra Ball. I have Computer Search. Okay, how can I discard cards? It looks like we are going to see that Arceus V-Star hit the board and the Starbirth from Isaiah's end. And I got to believe he can. I haven't seen the contents of his hand, but I got to believe he can find a way to get that mustard into play, find that Beedrill.
Yeah, Isaiah diligently working to get combos with his Starbirth pieces and to play all of these fancy cards and make Stage 2 Pokemon appear out of nowhere. Ian using Starbirth to grab energy and Scoop Up Net. So you can see just how versatile this card really is.
And here is the Ultra Ball. Looks like it's going to discard a couple of special energies of Isaiah's own to find a Drizzile. And then we're going to see that Shady Dealings find. Was that another Ultra Ball? Didn't quite see there, but we are seeing another Ultra Ball get played here for yet another Drizzile, doing some Drizzile chaining, as it were.
Yeah, we saw the Shady Dealings and Talion hitting the discard pile, so not going to have access to that with 2 Drizzile in
There's
play.
the mustard, and there is the Beedrill. So 5 fresh cards are going to join Isaiah's hand. That Beedrill is now in play, and as you can see, you see that double turbo energy on the Arceus V-Star. from Ian. That's a special energy. That's going to be a knockout for just one grass if Isaiah can find it.
Well, yeah, let's be careful now. There's 5 cards left. We've already seen Starbirth. We don't see energy in discard pile or any of that training court stuff, so it's going to have to be a nice draw here.
And let's see, 5 cards. Is there an out to an energy?
We see Scoop Up and Grass Energy.
All right, so Isaiah does have it. I guess when he said it was easy, he wasn't lying here. We even have the air balloon on the Drizzile, of course, to pivot it out of the active spot. And now the knockout is Isaiah's if he wants it.
He's got to think about this. It's of course it makes a ton of sense to take this knockout here with the Beedrill, because you wanna continue to put some pressure on your opponent, but you don't really do anything to accelerate your board. Your Archie is still sitting there with no energies. I think this is a no-brainer though. You have to go in.
Yeah, it is. It can be kind of awkward in these spots because the Beedrill is very likely to be knocked out on the following turn, and then you're kind of not left with a whole lot. But you're putting it in the deck for a reason. I feel like if you're not going to utilize it in these kind of spots, you probably should have played something else.
Yeah.
We do see that Scoop Up net going to reset one of the bench Drizziles there. I think that Sobble came into play this turn though, so not going to be able to hit the board again. We do see that Beedrill in the active, and there's the Persisting for 2 prizes.
That is what the deck does, and it is very nice. Ian on the other side now at least sees a knockout here in this Beedrill, but what else do you want to get set up in this point?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to Drizzile there for the Professor's Research. Quick ball the remaining card in his hand away for another Sobble. And I mean, I feel like this is just what we've been talking about all weekend. It's just, yep, Shady Dealings, get another Sobble, fill my bench. These decks, these Arceus Inteleon decks are just very focused on this powerful Inteleon engine and just taking advantage of the consistency that this kind of search allows you.
Yeah, so many cards available so often. I think Ian now really just looking for one more Pokemon to eventually charge up or get ready to attack after this Arceus. And we see Moltres. It's a little early, so probably not going to go that route just yet, but you definitely want to take advantage of getting some energy accelerated potentially.
And here is a level ball. Looks like Ian's eyeing up that Drizzile for that Sobble that was in play at the beginning of the turn. Going to immediately play it, consult the hand before going back in for a Shady Dealings, and it really cannot be stressed enough just how powerful this Inteleon line is. Just being able to pick exactly what cards you need at exactly the right time allows for things like this Beedrill deck to exist, right? It allows for just kind of that such consistency, and especially when you're talking about top player versus top player, just having access to your entire deck and getting to pick something out to play is just so strong.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and decks like this don't really exist without this engine. This is what makes everything tick.
Yeah, absolutely. So still deciding on the Shady Dealings. Looks like going for another Scoop Up net there. It does have the Quick Ball, going to get rid of that Baby Galarian Moltres just for another Sobble. So we were considering if he was going to try to find another attacker, but no, he's just saying, I just want Inteleons. I just want a Shady deal.
Yeah, it seems fair. Getting all of these Pokemon available and using those Scoop Up nets over and over again, continually getting access to all these cards feels fine with just having the Arceus V-Star in play, taking that knockout, and I don't blame him necessarily because Isaiah's going to need Raihan shenanigans to even deal damage with an Arceus this turn.
Yeah, again, as we talked about, that Beedrill play, was great, exactly what the deck's trying to do. 2 prizes for Isaiah, but did leave him with this kind of blank board. Again, the board is never truly blank when you have those Sobbles, when you have that Drizzile in play. Oh, I thought Isaiah was extending the hand for a minute there. But he is going to need a lot. Like you said, it literally has to be Raihan here to attack with this Arceus and kind of get things going, which, of course, can be found off the Shady Dealings. So still a good shot at it, but we'll see what Isaiah can put together this turn.
Yeah, we know the Drizzile in hand, so going to go ahead and play that back down now. Raihan will also be able to get access to another card, so if the double turbo is not available, go ahead and just grab that.
Yeah, that's kind of the combo there. We see Isaiah still thinking about exactly what he wants to do, how exactly this turn is going to go. Obviously, an incredibly tense spot. I mean, I think Isaiah and Ian are both pretty fun, loving, relaxed guys. I know Ian said after we when we interviewed him, he said, I had no expectations for this tournament, but still, when you're in this moment and you have so many championship points, so many dollars on the line, you got to think through every action, and he does decide to go with that Raihan.
Yeah, I think the debate for Isaiah potentially is, do I go for a bench Arceus so that maybe I can potentially start to load that up? The problem is that you'd like to get a big charm down on that Pokemon so that it isn't unlikely to get knocked out. There is already an Arceus dealing 200 damage. If it were to find Choice Band, if there were quick shooting to come down, that Pokemon could be removed from play. So just have to think through all of the outs right here.
And it looks like the Raihan did end up finding that double turbo energy, so going to be able to prep that Arceus. It's silent, he doesn't have the double turbo in hand, of course, although he does have quite a full hand. Looks like a bunch of quick balls. So definitely some options this turn.
Yeah, there's Quick Ball for potential Arceus, and then maybe the Evolution Incense for a Drizzile, and then you could find that big charm. Just really depends on what he sees for the future. Who are his main attackers going forward through the rest of this game?
Yes, so we do see that Dunsparce in Isaiah's deck there. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of how, if it's going to come into play here with, we do know that Ian has the Galarian Zapdos?
Yeah, I think that's also something that Isaiah's thinking about too, is if you play down a second Arceus V, then you're potentially walking right into that Galarian Zapdos V that can deal more its big attack damage, which takes 4 energies required, but 1 less for each V that's in play on your opponent's side of the field. So potentially, with just a fighting energy and an energy switch, that Pokemon would be able to attack directly into an Arceus for weakness damage if there was a second Arceus in play. However, Dunsparce wouldn't allow that to happen. It would block that fighting weakness. So a lot of options here for Isaiah.
I think that Dunsparce was added to the hand there. It's like Quick Ball, got rid of a Training Core. We're going to fill the bench there. Second Arceus, there's the Dunsparce. And now we're promoting that other Arceus, to the V-Star, to the active spot. Trinity Nova, 180 damage, and going to power up 3 energy onto that benched Arceus V.
Yeah, overall, this is very solid. Didn't find the big charm, but of course, still has a very relevant attacker in the active position and on the bench now. It's going to make Ian have to make a decision at this point. Do you start chasing the prize cards here with the 220 hit points potentially, or do you continue to attack into this big Pokemon with 280 hit points?
I feel like this is a decision that we've had to see these players make over and over again this weekend. Arceus is just such a huge part of the format, and just kind of mapping out exactly how you're going to take your prizes, exactly how much damage you can do. Just been such a huge consideration throughout this whole day. Energy Search finds the Darkness energy there. Ian looks like he's deep in thought, not sure what he's working with in his hand. This feels like a really critical turn for him. Kind of like you said, has to make a decision about how this turn's going to go, and then kind of that leads to how the rest of the game's going to go.
Yeah, Dunsparce is it's very good for Isaiah, but it's also pretty interesting for Ian. Ian may not have even been thinking about his Galarian Zapdos at this point. He might be thinking, oh, Medicham, hey, welcome. Because Ian now can start thinking, all right, quick shooting, I get that down onto the Dunsparce, maybe a second one, and then I get a Medicham, and then I can work in a knockout there, maybe a knockout on one of these Drizziles or the Sobbles, and if I take this Arceus V off of the bench right here, then I've got my 4 prizes lined up.
Yeah, just the power of that Medicham is very real. Needs to be considered at all times. I mean, just such a... We heard Ian say it himself, I was worried about these low HP Pokemon. Needed to find a way to deal with them, and it's a pretty good way.
Yeah, the big meme of the weekend to start was Lycanroc and its hunting season.
Yep, hunting
going
season.
After those Dunsparce. I think Medicham would like to teach it some yoga moves and take it off the field that way. And yeah, already we see the Inteleon quick shootings going to target down that Dunsparce.
Yeah, resetting the Inteleon there with that Scoop Up Net Drizzile. It's going to go do a shady dealing of its own. Find a trainer from the deck, and then... I think has the other Drizzile evolved this turn, or can he go ahead and replay the quick shooting?
There's a lot of blue guys, and I've lost track at this point.
Didn't quite see what looks like Ian's still considering there what he's going to do with this shitty dealings here. Dunsparce just sitting there, just waiting to just a couple more damage counters. Really afraid of what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's looking like a little sad lad. Just trying to help his big homies not get knocked out by fighting Pokemon.
Just there for support, getting picked on anyway. All right, and Ian Robb deciding what to do with this shady dealing. Again, a very tense turn for him, a very important turn in how this match is going to go. A lot of big decisions to make.
You have to think boss's orders would be absolutely crucial right here.
Yeah, that's what he's selected so far. Looks like he's going to take the boss's orders and slam it onto the Arceus V on the bench.
Yeah, I love this. You already have the 200 damage available. You drop that quick shooting Inteleon. You get the extra additional damage if you don't already have that choice belt in hand. You get that knockout. You set up the Dunsparce for the Medicham shenanigans. Even has the energy on the Sobble. If this Arceus V-Star were to be knocked out, you can see the combos with the energy switch lining up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our favorite quote was Ian saying, "Energy switch allows me to do whatever I want," which is I think maybe not a sentence that's been uttered before.
Yeah, I think it allows you to move an energy from one of your Pokemon to another.
Yeah,
but hey, do whatever you want, my guy.
Actually, pretty limited in what it can do, but I love the positivity. So we do see that knockout there, the quick shooting onto the active Arceus V-Star, and then of course no double turbo on Ian's active, so just takes the clean knockout. 2 prizes remaining for Ian, and now Isaiah sitting here with 4 prizes. What does Isaiah need to do to kind of what's like his ultimate goal this turn?
It's tricky because he has one Pokemon available that the last Drizzile to really make this hand relevant, and I think maybe the only out that you have at this point is go for a Marnie and hope that your opponent draws nothing. Because right now it looks like Ian has combos for days, and I don't trust anything that's going on in that man's hand and what he got out of his prize cards. So get rid of that hand and try to start fresh. Maybe he doesn't see Drizzile or Inteleon with shady dealings.
Yeah, but speaking of Drizzile, there it is. Speaking of Marnie, it looks like that's going to be pulled to the front just as you predicted off of this shady dealings, Isaiah. Deep in thought, but I got to agree. I just think you have to say, I just know your deck is too tricky. I just know you have too much going on. I think we gotta get rid of some hands. Let's reset things a little bit.
Yeah, this makes a ton of sense. Just go ahead and get this down. Maybe you find the scoop up net off this too. That would be sweet.
Evolution Incense for that Beedrill. Go ahead and put it on the bottom of the deck.
Oh, is your hand dead? Oh, it's so shit.
From this Marnie, and then Isaiah's going to get 5 fresh cards.
Yeah,
Ian's 4.
shuffling his 2-card hand down to the bottom of the deck.
The best is when you shuffle and you go, is this random enough for you? Would you like to cut?
Do you want to cut?
Because literally, I'm like, maybe Bradner gives you way
All right,
too much
let's see
credit.
what Isaiah finds off of this Marnie here.
I mean, it is.
Whoa!
It's the big charm on the Dunsparce. Okay.
We love to see that.
After being attacked, it's picked on. Dunsparce is getting a little help from the charm there.
Okay, hitting the gym, looking good.
Also, just a kind of some evidence as to how Isaiah thinks about the Dunsparce and the importance of kind of keeping that around, and really not giving up that prize as easily in this game.
All right, Isaiah thinking a couple turns ahead. It does line up everything that he needs here. Going to be able to take this knockout. What does Ian have in that hand off the Marnie?
Yeah, I think that's the really big question is how is Ian going to respond to this turn? We see Isaiah with that Palpad. Marnie is going the first selection. They're going to go back into the deck, and the boss's order is kind of the most common Palpad finds, I think. And especially in decks like this, we're going to see the retreat, and it looks like we're seeing a Trinity Nova for the knockout.
Yep, and that is going to be the end of Arceus V-Star. Ian now promoting that Sobble with the energy. I'm excited to see if he's got combos. Of course, I don't think they line up this turn. That Dunsparce with the big charm does certainly make things a lot trickier, but we'll see what Ian's able to come up with.
If there's anyone that can do it, it's Ian Robb, as we see the 5-card hand. Drizzile, shady dealings once again. It looks like finding a Clara.
Yep.
That gets added to the hand. Ultra Balling, though, there's that Medicham and the Arceus hitting the discard pile.
All right, the combo goes away, but of course, maybe those Pokemon do get found at a later stage. We see the Clara now, and that's going to grab a couple of energies. The Zigzagoon, oh, I think I see combos. If there's a choice belt, I think that this is a knockout.
There's the Galarian Moltres. There's the Galarian Zigzagoon.
Oh, yeah. That one already evolved.
That one just, I think he's just kind of showing him,
Okay.
Have the choice belt. Is that enough for you?
Yep, that is going to be it. That's a Fiery Wrath doing 250 damage, 30 already on the active, and that is going to be game 1 to Ian Robb here in the finals of Indianapolis Regionals.
Yeah, that was a great performance there by Ian. We asked, can he have the combos? How does that work? Is a Dunsparce with a big charm on it going to matter? And Ian Robb said, no, I just have this glare and Moltres. I just have this belt. I just have this zigzag. I just have everything I need.
Yeah, baited, put the damage on the Dunsparce. You throw the big charm on that instead of your Arceus V-Star, and I win. There we go.
Ian Robb with the mind games in game 1 here over Isaiah Bradner. So both players shuffling up. Just over 53 minutes remaining for games 2 and 3. What does Isaiah need to do differently? What does he need to have go differently in order to take the victory in game 2?
Well, he'd love to go first. Going first is very good, especially in any Arceus mirror match. And honestly, I think the rest of his strategy worked out pretty great. He did get that Beedrill knockout huge early on, but he had no energies on his Arceus. So that meant that he had to go for the Raihan combos. He didn't have access to boss's orders to start knocking out Arceus Vs instead of attacking into Arceus V stars. And that just doesn't bode well for him, and he just doesn't have a real win condition after that.
Yeah, sometimes I've noticed in these matchups when you have the Arceus versus Arceus and kind of both of them having to be powered up over 2 turns with a double turbo energy, just going first is such a huge advantage, just an important piece of kind of the puzzle here of winning these mirror matches. So Isaiah is going to get to go first. That's what he wants to do, so he will have that advantage to him, and hopefully he's looking to kind of tie things up here for seeing in the finals.
Yeah, he's definitely capable of it. His deck is definitely capable of it as well, and I'm excited to see what these gentlemen have in store for us here in Game 2.
All right, players drawing their opening hands, maybe the last game of this tournament, if Ian Robb has anything to say about it. Looks like Isaiah's taking a mulligan.
It was a good hand, too. I saw Capture Energy and Arceus V-Star, so...
Prizes, Raihan, Sobble, Boss's Orders, Energy Search, Quick Ball, and a Darkness Energy.
Yep, certainly not the worst. Going to be able to find that boss's orders in a pretty relevant position. So, all in all, that's pretty fair.
All right, Isaiah still shuffling up, gonna present his deck, and hopefully not have another mulligan this time. He does get to go first, as we said, so looking for that kind of optimal hand here.
We see a Sobble.
Sometimes a Sobble is all you need. It looks like he does have the Sobble. And here we're going to take a look at Isaiah's prizes. Speaking of Sobbles, there's one in the prizes, double turbo, but pretty reasonable prizes for all players here. There's the handshake, and game 2 has begun.
I don't know if that's the Pokemon you want to start with here. Yep, that's not Ian's friend.
No, that is not. I don't even know how this found its way into Ian's deck. But definitely not the card you want to start with there. But from Isaiah's perspective, I mean, going first, you have the Sobble in the active. You have the Arceus with the capture on it now. Kind of feels like a pretty nice start from Isaiah. Yeah,
of course, Hoopa V is a Pokemon that's teched in for some other matchups, maybe working against that psychic weakness of an Urshifu. And of course, using that dark weakness against Mew VMAX. Not going to be helpful here. In fact, 220 hit points is the number that Isaiah hits all the time.
Yeah, actually going to be a really big detriment too. Not easy to pivot around, just going to be sitting there for most of the game, just begging to be boss's orders up.
Could you play an Avery and help me out?
All right, and again, Isaiah just figuring out what's in his prizes, figuring out exactly the Pokemon he wants to take. Looks like there's actually some debate between the Sobble and the Arceus here. He does have you can have a level ball or a quick ball to find, level ball right there to find the Sobble. So gonna end up with both.
This hand's absolutely monstrous. Has the Arceus V-Star in hand, already has access to Drizzile, has a Marnie if he wants to do some hand disruption too. So already Isaiah looking very good here. The energy is the most important, but the hand in the back, you got to have that too, and he does.
And he passes the turn over to Ian, a subpar starter, but is it going to be a subpar turn 1? We'll figure that out. Starts things off with a level ball. Gotta believe this is gonna find a...
nope.
Well, not quite. Okay, yep. All right.
I'm going to take a look at that card.
that level ball got really good.
or Arceus got really bad.
Really bad, yeah. All right, so level ball does find the Sobble there. Again, Ian is going to take some time to look, determine what is prize, and I wonder what the rest of Ian's hand looks like. Really going to determine, I think, how the early mid game is going to go here.
Yeah, this is one of the more exciting things that goes on in this matchup, just seeing the openers, seeing how these players go about. How do you combat this turn from your opponent? Ideally, Isaiah, it looks like, is going to have a really big second turn. So how does Ian combat that? Does he try to set a different Pokemon in the active spot? Does he already go, you know what, you've got this Hoopa. I just need to get something else going on my side of the board.
Yeah, we are going to see the quick ball, and then, he can't discard the energy switch, can
Yeah,
he? That card lets him do whatever he wants. So he's going to take a minute to reconsider.
Oh, it's tough, it's tough.
Oh, and the energy switch is going to hit the discard pile there. Quick ball finds the Arceus V.
Yep, the one with 220 hit points.
The one, exactly. And if it just weren't for this Hoopa, Ian would be in kind of a good spot here. Double turbo energy. Looks like he's going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, that's very clean, just getting that energy down now. And, of course, Isaiah sees that and goes, hey, Beedrill, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Buzz, buzz. All right, we are back to Isaiah Bradner now. There's the Arceus V-Star immediately evolved, has access to that Starbirth V-Star power whenever he wants it. Let's see what else he can put together this turn.
Yeah, of course, combos can't happen with that Beedrill just yet necessarily. You're not going to be able to knock out that Arceus V. We're not going to be doing multiple supporters in a turn with that Mustard and Boss's orders, so probably
no Lieutenant Surge's strategy here.
Yeah, you don't want to do all that. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Arceus. Of course, there are ways to deal 220 damage with this deck. We see Choice Belts, we see Galarian Zigzagoons all the time.
Looks like Boss's orders from the shady dealings. So now we got.
That's the 220 that you want to do.
We see another quick ball coming down for Isaiah Bradner here, and if you're Ian, this just has to feel horrible.
Yeah, this is what a B does, except you also get 3 energy cards.
Yeah, it cannot feel good to be in Ian Robb's position here. There's the Galarian Zigzagoon.
Yep, that's the combo. We see the Starbirth now. That is going to lead to the double turbo and the Choice Belt. Doesn't have either of those in hand, so going to go ahead and just grab both of those, and doesn't have to pull off any Beedrill combos. He just needs to take this big attack here to start things off.
2 prizes for Isaiah Bradner. No Arceus V. No real good attackers on the inside. Double turbo energy down. Fully built up Arceus V on the bench. Sobble Drizzle in play. Isaiah Bradner just in a commanding position here. I feel like you can't really have much better of a turn too. You see Ian with the shrug.
Oh, okay. Well, energy switch lets you do anything. We have learned this. There is a Galarian Zapdos. There is a way to accelerate energies by way of Galarian Moltres. So you could, theoretically, take this Arceus off of the board. There is no Dunsparce. Can it happen with 4 cards and a Drizzile? I don't know.
Do you need energy switch to make that happen?
Yes.
Energy switch is in the discard pile, remember?
I think he plays like 2, right?
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess if it lets you do whatever you want.
Yeah,
you do want to have multiples. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I saw that Heart Gold Soul Silver slipping in there. He does have that second copy, so.
All right. Let's see what he can put together here. This is going to start things off with the professor's research. Not great evidence of what's in the hand.
Oh, no.
Okay, it's going to get a lot harder.
All right. Yep. So if this happens, then I'm going to bow to Ian throughout the rest of this tournament. This would be the most ridiculous turn that I've ever seen.
All right, we're starting things off with a Sobble. Not a great sign. Ian in the tank doing some thinking here.
The tank isn't a good place to be. Yeah. Usually if you get it, you just start throwing cards.
Yeah, especially facing down Isaiah's board here. Not immediately just kind of having what you need is a terrible place to be. Looks like we're going to start things off with a quick ball, discarding a Boss's orders. Going to find that Arceus.
No combos today. We do see Air Balloon, so maybe a retreating option with the follow-up. Going to try to get this energy attachment down, maybe. Oh, Sobble, here we go.
Looks like we're gonna do some calling here, folks. I mean, again, we didn't put together the combo. Kind of wasn't very likely that he was going to, and so instead he's kind of doing the only thing he really can do here, which is just okay. I'm really behind, but it's just kind of how I have to play. I'm gonna get another Sobble on the board, gonna get an Arceus V down, and sometimes you just have to, you have to play to your outs. You have to play to those thin percentages sometimes.
Do you know what Inteleon can do?
Why don't you explain it for us, Kyle?
Inteleon has a Shady Dealings ability. This Shady Dealings
I've
ability
heard of it.
can go ahead and grab 2 cards, Boss's Orders and Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net can pick up a Galarian Zigzagoon, dealing 10 damage to a Arceus V, and then 210 damage is a knockout.
Wow, that's really intense analysis there. It looks like that is exactly what happened.
That is exactly what Isaiah wanted to do, and he did not have to sweat at all. He is attaching to a Galarian Zigzagoon.
All right, and that's 2 more prizes for Isaiah Bradner, and the board of Ian Robb just continues to get decimated there. Drizzile going into the active spot, but you have to wonder if it'll matter.
He's openly accepting a Galarian Zapdos V to come down and knock out his Arceus because he would win. And sure enough, Ian knows exactly what's happening. Let's go to Game 3.
Yeah, that was rough. That was a beating from Isaiah. He's looking at the camera. He knows what he did. He knows what he did, and Ian again is just forced to scoop it up. And now both players tied. We are getting the full Game 3 here. We're getting the full set, and we have something like 40 minutes left on the clock. So I think it's basically exactly how you want to write up the finals.
This is a beautiful place to be, and Isaiah has to be feeling good, knowing that he got that win in when he went first. This is going to be a huge opening game here for Game 3. Can Ian take advantage of going first in this mirror match and get himself a really nice setup, or is Isaiah going to be able to pounce and make sure that he can overcome going second in this spot? Maybe take advantage of an early beat roll, but have the energies down too.
Yeah, it really feels like the question of this matchup, of this finals here. The question that might determine who becomes a regional champion is, what does your hand look like? What does your first 1 or 2 turns look like? How is this game going to go? A lot on the line here. The title of regional champion, multiple thousands of dollars, championship points that I know are relevant to both of these players. Just so much on the line here. A lot of friendly. You can see the stress on the face of Isaiah. Friendly banter going on. Both these players, both great players and just fun people to be around, having a great time out there. But there is a lot on the line here, and Ian looking to pick up what's his 4th regional title.
Yeah, he's working very hard for it. Yeah, it's wild to think that after playing as long as these players have, playing through 2 days, 17 games to get to this position. This is match number 18 for these players with 15 Swiss rounds, top 8 and top 4. But they've already seen minimum 35, 36 opening hands. This is the most important one by far.
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. And those players are drawing their opening hands now, so we'll glean some information here and start this last game of this tournament. Ian Robb once again jumping the gun a little bit on the prize. Oh wow, and having a whole lot of stuff prized there. 2 Drizzile, the Galarian Zapdos V also in the prizes. Sobble up top. So focused on Ian's, I didn't quite get a look at Isaiah's there.
Same thing happened to me.
All right, we are off. Looks like Galarian Moltres in the active spot for Ian Robb. Quick ball discarding that Clara, it looks like. Arceus V and Sobble on the bench. Ian Robb, of course, taking a look, trying to say, oh, let's see how many Drizziles I have prized.
Yeah, and this is going to be huge news because combos with Drizzile often work in pairs of 2. It makes it so much easier to get that Pokemon down and then start using Scoop Up Net and make sure you have that full effect over and over again of the triple. It can happen with the double Sobble. It just feels a little slower. So, of course, playing only 3 copies, having 2 in the prize cards, it's going to be painful.
Yeah, it's just tough to kind of get that Scoop Up Net kind of combos with only 2 left. And Ian's learning the bad news now as he plays an Energy Search, finds the basic Dark, and realizes that 2 Drizzile are in the prizes amongst some other important cards. He does have the 1 Sobble on the bench here, and, of course, Sobble in the active position for Isaiah as well.
Yep. And on Isaiah's side, it looks like he doesn't have much. He started with that Sobble, but of course, in this format, there is no opening hand disruption on the opening turn going first, so Isaiah is going to conceal as much energy as much information as possible. And I think that he top decked that water energy. I did not see that in the opening hand. That is such a big card.
Oh, wow. All right, so the Arceus V hits the bench here. We're going to see a level ball played. And yeah, that's the only energy he has access to as well. Going to enable a keep calling if that's what he wants to do. Just that's a huge draw.
Yeah, I think the energy attachment to the Arceus V can be so important here. If he does have a way to continue with his hand, maybe using a supporter card to draw, or maybe a little bit of hand disruption with a Marnie, that seems fine. But once you get your second Sobble down, I feel like you just have to start thinking, I need to get Arceus going in quick.
Right, how can I actually start attacking again? We talked so much about the kind of the consistent Arceus attachments to lessen that reliance on Raihan, lessen that reliance on tricks like that, and it looks like exactly what's going to happen here is level ball. Certainly finding a second Sobble here. And Isaiah's saying, oh, all my Drizzles are there. Okay, nice. That's exactly how I like it.
Good card, good card. Yep, we see the quick flash of the choice belt. Does the Galarian Zigzagoon's also a pretty crucial card as well.
There's one in my deck right now.
Yeah, we saw Galarian Zigzagoon do a whole lot of work. We see the Dunsparce in the deck as well. Don't believe that was in the prizes. So kind of seems like Isaiah really has everything he might want. Does finally decide on that Sobble. Couldn't quite make out the card that he was counting there, but again, just trying to determine exactly what's in the prizes and kind of determine how the course of this game is going to go. Finishes up this level ball, and of course does have that basic energy in hand. Does choose to attach to the Arceus V on the bench.
Yeah, and we see Scoop Up Net Boss's Orders. I think the Arceus V-Star potentially. So the hand's certainly not done yet, but going to pass this turn off. Going to have to wait another turn. We see that energy switch hitting the discard pile. You know that hurts Ian.
It sure does. the basic dark he searched for in the first turn get attached. Professor's research 7 new cards.
Scoop Up Net.
All right, scooping up the bird. Putting the Arceus in the active spot. Now that Ultra Ball can find him with any Pokemon he wants. Looks like taking some time to consider what to discard off this Ultra Ball. Could be a really important decision. We see a lot of games come down to kind of exactly what resources are left, what can I Clara back, what can I Palpad back, things like that.
Yeah, energies usually are safe. Your opponent also plays that training court for you, so every once in a while you get to take advantage of that. What is the additional card? Honestly, when you take this long to make that decision, it gives Isaiah a little bit of information. All these cards might be pretty saucy. Yeah, Boss's Orders. That's a good one.
He
said, hold up.
Shrugs and plays the Boss's Orders, and Isaiah immediately reaches for the discard pile. Kind of say, yeah, well, what do you got going on here? Boss's Orders, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, of course, playing Palpad, so not the end of the world to lose a Boss's Orders, but man, the rest of that hand must be nice.
It's going to get a lot nicer here off the V-Star Power. Starbirth, of course. Any 2 cards Ian wants. Looks like eyeing up a Sobble.
Yeah, this is a Battle VIP pass. This is great.
Yeah, looks like we're doing the Sobble. I think there was an Arceus V as well.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be looking for a secondary Pokemon to start charging up, get those energies down quick. Isaiah may be thinking, I might be able to knock that out, but it takes a lot. And it's going to be just Starbirth and 1 Drizzile to make that happen.
All right, 3 energy off that Trinity Nova going right on to that Arceus V on the bench. And just, despite the, it looks like actually he took the Drizzile off the prize too.
All right.
If I'm reading that correctly, yeah, it was the Drizzile off the prize. So despite those kind of unfortunate prizes, kind of a little bit of a detriment there. It looks like Ian Robb might be kind of back in this game. There's the Arceus V Star. There is a Starbirth ability from Isaiah's side, and it remains to be seen exactly what he'll put together here. You gotta imagine it's a combo.
You're gonna cry when you see this. It's double Ultra Ball, double Boss's Orders. Goodbye everything for Drizzile. Go for the B.
All right.
Oh.
Isaiah deep in the tank.
He knows that this is going to hurt.
He's kind of thinking, okay, if I get this card, I can discard these 2, and then that equals this, and okay, this is this.
And it's not even guaranteed. He could get the B, and that he needs to still hit the grass energy. He won't have a Drizzile available. He won't just be able to go search out the energy search. I think the energy search is also in the prize cards. So that's one less option for him to draw. He's going to have to rip the raw grass energy if he goes for this strategy, and it looks like he's reconsidering. He's thinking about Marnie now.
Yeah, he's pulling a bunch of cards to the front there. Marnie, double turbo. He's got that Drizzile, just really thinking this through. It's a really tough spot to be in if you're Isaiah. Didn't quite see what he went for there. Looks like he's leaving the Marnie in the deck.
I think this is Drizzile and double turbo, and that seems pretty fine. There's scoop up net already in hand. You go ahead, grab the Marnie. You play that double turbo down. You scoop up net. You get that Sobble back down into play. You play the Marnie. You hope to find that Arceus V, so you get a relevant charge down. And that you're asking a lot of Marnie, but every once in a while she helps you out.
Yeah, so as opposed to game one, we're seeing Isaiah kind of go for the a little bit more of a conservative line, kind of more of a traditional line, I guess you could call it, with just, I'm just going to get a double turbo and then draw some cards and disrupt your hand. No combos here.
He's playing fair Pokemon, and every once in a while, fair Pokemon is not correct. But I feel like there's certainly an opportunity here for him to be successful. Would love to see the Arceus right now. That would make all of this feel so much better, and he does find that quick ball.
Yep, looks like quick ball discarded a B-drill here, and it's going to find that second Arceus, and we're seeing kind of the same thing, just in different ways happen on both sides of the board, where it's just so important to say, okay, I need this Arceus V-Star, but then I need to power up with Trinity Nova another Arceus V to have a backup attacker in play here.
All right, well, we do see the energies are likely to come down. I want to also mention that because there are 2 V Pokemon down in play, we got to start thinking about that Zapdos, and we see that Big Charm nod too. So Isaiah trying to prepare for everything.
Yeah, the big Charm going on the big Pokemon, not going on the Dunsparce in this game, deciding, I'll stick with my friend Arceus and make him pretty tough to knock out. Yeah. Evolution Incense from Ian Robb. Drizzile, Shady Dealings, going to Shady Dealings for a Professor's Research. Play we've seen time and time again for Ian in this match.
I thought I dumped different things, and I'm about to dump.
Interested to see what the other cards in hand are for Ian, if there's anything else to play out before just slamming this Research and drawing a fresh 7.
Yeah, with the loss of that boss's orders early, this makes a lot of sense here. Just go ahead and refill your hand. Give yourself a lot of ways to get to those Inteleons later on. Maybe get one more Drizzile down into play if you can. I believe he was able to get access to that. So if he does have that, then certainly combos are available next turn.
Absolutely. Here, let's take a look at what Ian is working with. Both players consulting the discard piles, trying to figure out what exactly resources their opponents have used.
Yeah, does the story add up? Can Ian sneak another Pokemon into play that can do something big, or is he going to just have to play fair Pokemon here and deal 180 damage to this Arceus V-Star? Likely not going to be able to get some energy acceleration. It doesn't seem too relevant at this point, so we're just going to be playing that chip battle game.
Yeah, it looks like that is going to be the plan. I see the Valerian Zigzagoon in hand. He pulls the darkness energy up to the front of his discard pile. Not sure if that means anything. There's a level ball, another Drizzile, another Shady Dealings. A lot going on there. Finding that evolution incense.
Okay, now the Drizzile.
It's a really tense spot for both of these players. A lot to think about, a lot going on, and a lot on the line.
I'm going to attack you, but I'm not going to shuffle again. I'm not going back there. Training court, use it.
We do see that training court. Yep, get that energy attachment, energy switch potential, maybe a retreat in the future turns. Always makes sense right there. And yep, safe Pokemon.
Back to Isaiah now. Both players sitting with 180 damaged Arceus V-Stars in the active position. And what's Isaiah trying to put together this turn?
Oh, Sharon's Care is very good.
Yes.
And that would be able to pick up this Arceus V-Star, preserve that Big Charm, and then you would be able to replay that Arceus V with the double turbo energy potentially down onto the board. That'd be nice. We see the energy attachment to the Sobble. I think that's telling. Yeah, he does not have it. He's going to take some prize cards, hopefully find something to keep moving in those prize cards.
Looks like the most likely prize cards he's going to take are that Energy Search and the Mana Fee.
Those aren't helpful.
No, they are not. You are correct. Yep, there's the Energy Search and the Mana Fee. We see that Galarian Zapdos prize on Ian's side too. Going Zapdos V rather. Also very relevant.
Yeah, it would have been a nice Pokemon to sneak onto the board at some point and isn't going to have access to it. But after this prize is taken on the Arceus V, if maybe Isaiah does start to play down another Arceus V, we could certainly see that sneak in and potentially take a huge knockout.
Yeah, starting with that Evolution Incense. Was grabbed off of the Drizzile Shitty Dealings last turn. It's going to find the Shitty Dealings Inteleon. Together, kind of a string of trainer cards here from the deck for Ian.
I think it's a hard turn to strain.
I mean, is Ian basically in the same position as last time, where it's just, okay, I need to knock out this Arceus V-Star and then get another backup attacker on the board, or is there something more specific he's kind of aiming towards here?
Yeah, at this point, I don't think the backup attacker is as relevant. He's already got his combinations that he's going to be working towards with Clara and getting down that Galarian's Moltres at some point. That's going to start to sneak into the mix. I think he's looking to use this Arceus V-Star at least one time, let it absorb some damage, maybe you Sharon's Carrot, and then you start playing with these one-prize Pokemon trying to work something out, or you work in that quick shooting with the Medicham combo. Try to work on a Pokemon like that Sobble in a couple turns.
That makes a lot of sense. So again, we do see that Evolution Incense find the Inteleon. Inteleon, Shitty Dealings now finding an Ultra Ball and one other card. Again, Ian really considering what to get here. You've been talking about it all match, the combos, the different combos we're setting up, the Medichams. We have the Galarian Moltres. It's not, similar to the, looks like some darkness has befallen the feature match area here, but sure, we'll get that fixed. Looks like Palpad was the other card.
This is the intro scene for the Galarian Moltres.
Yeah, exactly.
Set the stage, gentlemen.
Looks like there was a Palpad for Boss's Orders and Clara here. Gonna scoop up net, that Inteleon, play it right back down on that other Drizzile. Access to another Shitty Dealings. There's a Boss's Orders.
Yeah, Boss Band. That can definitely take out this Arceus V. Yeah, Belt, excuse me, but that is huge.
All right, the Hoopa is going in the discard pile.
Goodbye.
Where it belongs. Arceus V-Star coming into play now, and is the thought here just, hey, I'm gonna knock out your fresh Arceus and kind of leave you with this damaged one?
Oh yeah.
Kind of, it already has a bunch of damage, a lot more vulnerable. Kind of Sharon's Care doesn't really work in the way you want it to. Then
perfect.
There's a big knockout on that V.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he's thinking here. The combos with the Sharon's Care don't really apply when you don't already have that Arceus V already down on the bench. Taking the knockout, cashing in on an opportunity where there aren't 280 hit points. Now this Arceus V, the V-Star, it doesn't really operate as well as Ian's deck, where you use a Sharon's Care, you pick it up, and then you start sneaking in these one-prize Pokemon. You got to have Beedrill, and Beedrill takes a lot of combos, and we don't see combos coming from Isaiah.
All right, Can't imagine that's what's going to happen here. We see that Arceus V-Star get promoted back into the active spot. A lot of damage on it there, and really critical moment for Isaiah. It feels like he still has 4 prize cards remaining to Ian's 3, and we're kind of getting into kind of the end game here.
Yeah, I think this hand is going to be absolutely huge. We know that it had to be off this top deck for anything to really start happening. I think it starts with Drizzile or a top deck supporter at this point.
Remains to be seen what Isaiah can put together here. Didn't quite see the contents of his hand or the top deck.
Well, he's definitely thinking about what he can do using that energy search he found off the prize cards. It's not his favorite card to use in this spot, but at least it lets him get a little more information. What is he working with? No energy cards, of course, in there, but maybe can start drawing into some of these cards with that last card he was able to draw.
Yeah, of course, I forgot the prizes, the energy search, and the mana fee again. Not very useful there. This one just looking through Isaiah's deck, no energy, just kind of determining, okay, what exactly am I working with? Maybe I'll see something I haven't thought about before, see another line when I know the exact contents of my deck.
Well,
Training Court activation.
I think we see Boss's orders and maybe a choice belt and an Inteleon. Oh no!
That's just a hard retreat into the Manaphy.
This is a big position here. Can
Wow.
Ian capitalize? Finds the Boss's orders.
Immediately, Boss's orders. Up that Arceus V-Star, and this is, wow, you cannot like this if you're Isaiah here. What can Isaiah even do?
Well, he's yeah, he
He's
doesn't
just gonna
find it.
concede. Ian Robb is your 2022 Indianapolis Regional Champion. Wow, what a way for the match to end.
Unbelievable. What a way to go. Does not have the cards in hand and just can't keep up with the pressure that Ian was able to put forth.
Yeah, especially after watching how many matches we've seen that are back and forth, these really grindy wars of attrition with these Arceus V-Star decks, and then that last game just comes down to no cards in hand, no good cards in hand. Do I have the top deck? No, and Ian just immediately punishes with the Boss's orders found off the prizes, and this is Ian Robb's 4th regional championship win in the Masters division. Wow, what an incredible weekend.
Feels good. Has to feel good.